Hi folks, welcome to the channel. My name is Colin, call sign MM0OPX. This video I'm hoping is going to be part 2 of the Holiday DX antenna. So in the last video I was talking about my 10 meter spider beam pole, and I was talking about this little antenna that I made. So it's a smaller version of one of my Adjustawave antennas. So I've kind of been thinking, how am I going to set it up? How am I going to guy it? All those just kind of things to get a little bit more compact antenna for going on holiday. So I'm not quite sure if I'm 100% of the way there yet, but I think I'm pretty close. So let's talk about what I've done. So the antenna itself, it remains unchanged for when you seen it the last time. I did point out a couple of things I wasn't keen on. And I'll show you that when it gets set up. It doesn't affect operation, it's just my OCD, but there's nothing actually wrong with it in operation, but it's just my little gripes. But if I was making another one of these, I would make just a couple of probably very minor changes, but we'll talk about that when I get it up on the pole. 10 meter spider beam pole, what an amazing bit of kit, and I can say that with actually having little experience with it. But just the construction, the wall thickness, it's not quite the wall thickness of the 12 meter, but it's not far away. So what I had initially done was I mounted the Adjustawave to the second section from the bottom, and then I removed the top two sections, and then I connected the standard Adjustawave top spreader to the third section from the top. And that worked. It worked okay, it worked fine. But then I started thinking to myself, so for me personally, I only need this antenna to operate on 40 meters up. So therefore I could actually shorten the antenna a little bit again. So what I've ended up doing is removing 5 sections in total. And what that's done is actually given me an extremely strong 7 meter pole. Now some of you might say, well, why did you not just buy the Sotabeams pole? Because you're not going to get a diameter like that if you buy a 7 meter pole. So this is going to be an extremely strong, extremely rigid pole, and if I think it's going to work out how I think, I'm only going to need to guy it at one point. So where I'm actually going to guy it is I'm going to guy it at the third section, I think, if I remember correctly. I was going to make a guy plate, but then I'm going to kind of go with the KMRD method. So I've just got a Jubilee clip or a hose clamp. I've got some of this Mastrant Mastrant M 2mm wire. So the guying point is going to be above the Adjustawave, which is good because then it keeps it clear of the unit itself. I've got to watch how I mount it on some other poles, but I won't have that problem here. And because I'm mounting it that little bit higher, hopefully, I'm pretty sure, and there's a little bit of wind tonight, I'm pretty sure I won't need to guy it further up, and I'm certainly not planning to. Along with the wire, you've probably seen me using these little clam cleats. These are amazing for tensioning up guy ropes. So these are actually line locks, they're called, not clam cleats, line lock. If you could see that there. Yeah. But very, very strong, so I wouldn't worry about these coming loose. So again, there's next to no weight on these. As I said, I'm using the Mastrant M, so I'm going to cut fresh lengths. So this is really, really strong. I think I said the last time what the break-in strain of this is. 484 pounds, so 200 kilos. So that'll be more than enough. My pegs are a little bit heavy duty. I really need to get lighter pegs, aluminium. You know, these thicker aluminium pegs. These I use these on my 12 meter. Predominantly, these are made from galvanized rebar, reinforced bar. They're 1 foot long, 300mm long, and they're really, really good. But there is a bit of weight with them, so if I'm going to use it on holiday, I probably wouldn't want to use these. Now, because I'm using the adjustable radial, I need to think about how I'm going to support the radial at the opposite end from the antenna. Now tonight I will probably use, I can grab them, if I can just get them here, bear with me here. Getting in a tangle here. So these are fence poles, electric fence poles, and these are great to just have in your antenna armory. They're just easy supports. They've got a metal stake in the bottom, and then they've got the bit for pushing it down with your foot. So I'm probably going to use these tonight, and that's just to get over the bushes that's in my garden. But going forward, I'm going to use these are the top spreaders and the bottom spreader that you see on Adjustawave. But what I've done is I've actually turned the pulley 90 degrees round. So what that's going to allow me to do is I'll put these out, and I want to get some sort of metal spike to put in here. So put them out, they don't need to go in far, and these are a lot more lightweight because I don't want to be carrying those electric fence poles. But for tonight I'll probably use the electric fence poles, as I say, because where I want to put the radial and my garden's not particularly big, I think that'll be the better option. But I'll get these sorted out for going portable. Okay, so all going well, I'm going to go and set up the antenna, and we'll be back in a bit. That's me got things set up. It took me just a little bit longer than normal, and that was just because I was setting up this hose clip, Jubilee clip. So for the guy rope, I'm actually using this Mastrant 2mm Mastrant M. So I've cut like slightly longer lengths, so I had to cut these lengths fresh. I'll still have to get the flame out and burn the ends, so I have 3 of those. So that's how I've got it guide. So I've got a guide at the top of the second section. Actually, I'm thinking I could do it at the third, but I can't because I've then got to raise the antenna once it's guide. So yeah, it's pretty solid how it is there. So I've just taped this bottom section just because there's a bit of strain on the guide and I don't want it to come down. The other sections are just they're just pulled out, but lo and behold, the wind seems to have died. It was really quite windy earlier there. I'm giving that a good shake. I'm giving that a really good shake, and this thing is absolutely solid. So I've got it set on 20 meters at the minute, and I could actually see that my band markers are pretty good. So there's the 20 meter marker on there, there's the 20 meter marker on there, and I'll show you the SWR sweep in a minute. What I was saying was I've actually got my radial poles over here, and that's just to get over these bushes here, but the wire itself is only running out to, see where that little, here, it's only running out to there. So I think 20 meters is probably the best bet, and where we are it is nearly 7 o'clock UTC. So I think what I'll do is I'll show you the SWR first, and then I think I'll maybe even get the radio and maybe even sit outside because it's quite pleasant out here. This is the sweep for 20 meters. I'll do that again. So almost middle of the band, and you can see that we're just below 1.5 in the middle, which is perfectly usable. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Some people really think that they have to get a 1-to-1 SWR, where it's really not necessary. There's a ham radio hound deciding to give a little bark. Holly! But yeah, so I mean, there's the whole of the band covered at just over 1.5 to 1, so you know it's perfectly usable. I do have some structures in my garden that it can affect the SWR. Certainly when you get a vertical out in the open, you don't seem to see that so much. So what I'll do is I'll try and set out the radio out here, and hopefully we'll be back with hearing some stations. So as you can see, I've set up the 705 in the garden. It's the antenna, and what I've done is I've just set up on this little table. The band's not terribly busy. There's a few stations there. Mostly Europe I'm hearing. In fact, that's all I've heard so far. So we'll have a little tune about and see if we can work a station or two.
Also having 2 elements here, so it seems like 2 elements is also.
Sorry you never got to see much radio there, folks. I couldn't spend too long outside. I had just other things to get on with, so I only tuned about 20 meters for about 10 minutes or so before packing up. Wasn't the band was reasonably quiet. There was a couple of stronger German stations. I did try giving a call, but they had quite big pile-ups, and the 10 watts just wouldn't cut it. But no DX on the band. Really quite quiet. But it wasn't really about working radio. It was really just to get the mast up, and the radio was just a bonus. I was really quite pleased with how it went up. The wind did pick up just towards the end there, and the pole actually never budged. And what I don't think I mentioned at the beginning of the video was actually I had to make a new top mount, because the standard Adjusty Wave has got a 12mm clamp, which shoots the third section of this 10-meter pole or the second section of the 12-meter pole. But because I taken out the 5 sections, this is what I used. So worked really well. So I think all in all it was a pretty successful setup of the pole. The 2-meter Mastrand rope, I'm really impressed with that. That's the first of me really getting a chance to test that out. Not quite sure whether I'll go with this longer term to guy it, whether I'll use a guy plate, but certainly nothing wrong with it. But it means that I need to carry a spanner with it. What I might get is one of these, I think you call them wing handles or wing nut hose clips. That would be good, and then I don't need any tools to put the antenna up. So all in all, I think it was reasonably successful, but I will put it up again shortly and do some more testing. Okay, thanks for watching the video. Hope it was of use to some of you. Until the next time, it's 73.